I just got to spend the last several hours at the home of a dear friend of mine, someone who has now joined the coolest club in the world. She's a new mom. She's a patriot. She has inspired me more than she will ever fully comprehend, me along with millions of women and girls across this country. Riley Gaines and her husband Louie at their home here in Tennessee. And we talked about everything. Their birth story, which is super special. The push gift, which was not about what Riley wanted, but what her husband wanted. And then we go back to their days when they met as swimmers at the University of Kentucky. How he proposed, which is a really cool story as well. How about some tense moments in the hospital after the birth of their daughter? A tough conversation with some nurses who didn't agree with Riley and Louie's decisions. And all the way up to what they want and hope for their little girl. It is an incredible conversation with a dear friend of mine, personal, and a really different side of Riley Gaines that you've never seen, with Louie sitting right there by her side. Riley and Louie, the stars of this episode of the Sage Steele Show. You're so natural. You're so calm, and it seems like you both are very much just at peace.
Well, I feel like stepping into this role as a mom now, like I was made for this. Like I feel like this is my purpose in life, is being a mother. It's made me, I think, a better wife. It's made me like all of the things that she has brought into my life, like this feels like my purpose. And so natural is a good word. And it is crazy how almost instinctual it all is. I will say throughout my pregnancy and stuff, I felt very calm and ready. There was really no anxiety. Of course, there was anticipation to meet her and see what she looks like that came closer to the end. But now with her here, it's just natural. Even breastfeeding. It's kind of a weird concept, like to think about it before she's actually here. Like you have a little human who will like latch on to your boob. Like that sounds really weird.
Yeah.
But the moment she was placed on my chest, she starts like, looking for it. It just was all so natural. I have loved every single second of being a mom. Pregnancy, labor, delivery, the past 2 weeks with her, like I've loved it all. Actually, so much so that when, I know.
Bombshell announcement.
So much so.
Louie, I would take you out.
Yeah.
That, my legs are like still in the stirrups in the hospital bed. I had just pushed her out. And I look at him, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do it again.
Shut up.
And my doctor, he was like, Riley.
He looks up and he's like, you're crazy. No one's ever said that before.
Yeah, he's like, I've been doing this for decades. Like, I've never had a woman in the state that you're in say that right now.
Stirrups.
Yeah. No.
Mm-hmm. Seriously, like fresh, like he's still, doing whatever that they had to do down there.
Stitching up down there.
And he seriously peeks over and he's like, you're crazy. He was like, you're crazy.
Riley, why? What made you say that at that moment?
Well, I think a lot, again, my pregnancy, I was so blessed to have, honestly, like the easiest pregnancy of all time. There was no morning sickness. There was no fatigue. There was no aversions. There was nothing. I basically, my entire pregnancy felt the exact same as I did prior to conception. I was still running. I was still lifting. I was still doing traveling everywhere, which it can be pretty draining. I felt totally fine. I think a large part of that is to thank being fit, again, prior to getting pregnant, maintaining that fitness. So I think that, honestly, my worst symptom, you want to know what it was? Having to pee all the time. That was the worst. Yeah. You have like a little human that like sits on your bladder.
Yes.
I had to pee all the time, but that was the worst of it for me. I got cramps in my calves for like 2 weeks and maybe my second trimester. That was it.
Yeah, I woke up terrified one night because she got the double calf cramp.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shoots up out of bed and like I'm a heavy sleeper, and so it took me a second to kind of come around. She's both hands on the bed, just like screaming in pain from the calves, and I was like, okay. Well,
he's like, are you in labor?
We just watched a horror movie, and I was like, oh my goodness, what's happening?
And so I think because my pregnancy was so easy, my delivery was just magical. Like it's hard to describe. Of course, like there's a little pain that comes with it. But it was the most miraculous thing. And then again, that moment she's placed on your chest, you don't remember the pain. Who cares about that?
Yeah, take me back to that moment.
You want to tell it? It was really sweet from my end. Because again, you have all the nerves, the anticipation, the pressure that you're feeling. You have all these people around you, doctors, nurses. He's holding my hand. He's being so sweet. So I think I was kind of flooded, but it was probably a little more calm for you.
Yeah, I was, I wanted you to be comfortable during, labor and delivery and all that stuff, because it ain't, I wouldn't imagine it's kind of fun. That doesn't look very pleasant, should we say. But yeah, so I wanted you to be comfortable, but I was an emotional mess. As soon as that first cry came out, I was bawling. There is a picture, I think you put it somewhere, where every vein, I'm trying not to cry because there's a lot of people in this room, and I was trying to be like the manly man, and as soon as I heard that cry, all bets were off. But there's a picture where every vein is bursting in my neck, forehead, the whole 9 yards. It's not a flattering picture, but it was just incredible. That I will never forget it.
Surprise you?
I didn't know what to expect. So yes, I would say it did. But I'm like, yeah, my whole world just changed, right there and then. I was like, that's it. There's our little girl. That's what we've been growing for the last 9 months. And so it was really,
and Riley, when you looked over and saw your husband bawling.
Oh, I'm in tears.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that emotion that I saw from him, honestly, maybe even more so because I was so excited to meet her. I felt like I knew her well, right? Because I'm growing her. She had changed my body, my hormones. I felt like I was so in tune with her that of course I was excited, but that emotion, I felt like I had been feeling for 9 months. Mm-hmm. So it was sheer excitement to meet her, but looking over at him, and he got to experience what I felt like and of course there's a level of what the man, the husband, the father experiences during pregnancy. But it's probably nothing like when you get to see her for the first time. I'd felt her kick. I'd felt her move, all those things that he didn't get to feel. And so looking over at him, I immediately am like, I'm in tears. I could cry talking about it. Yeah. It was just the sweetest thing. And I will say, he was meant to be a girl dad.
Okay, backstory to that. So I have one brother.
One brother?
Yep, that's it. One older brother. Riley's got 2 sisters and a brother. So I have seen, and her mom and grandma, they're all really close. So I had seen how all of them interacted with each other, very estrogen heavy. Me and her brother, we definitely kind of gravitate towards each other.
Yes, to escape.
Yes. So I don't want to say I was disappointed when I found out it was a girl, or she was a girl, but I think I was wanting to be broken in lightly. On the front end, I was like, please give me a boy. Please just give me a boy.
Okay.
Yes, I was like, I've seen how all this goes. Break me in lightly. But when she was born, that completely changed. I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly how it was supposed to be. And so she's definitely softened my heart a little bit. Yeah. I mean, as soon as she came out.
So that's interesting. It really, though, didn't change until she was born, until birth. Because listen, the pictures out here on your property, I take it. I mean, Riley was bragging about you before she was born, about him and him being, right, Riley, the perfect girl dad. You knew more than he knew.
Well, I see how he treats me, and he treats me like a princess. The thing that I find so admirable and that I respect so much about him, and that has made me, again, outside of being a better wife, a better human being, is just how selfless he is. And it inspires me to be a better person, to allow myself to be inconvenienced by others. That, it is nothing to him. I know he would do anything in the world for me, or for anyone for that matter. That's just the kind of person that he is. So I see how he treats me. I see how he treats the other women in my family. I see how he treats his mom. So there was no doubt in my mind that he was made to be a girl dad. He still wants his little hunting buddy, right? Which...
She can do that.
She's coming out in the woods with me.
Yes.
He got her the first item of clothing he got her was pink camo.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, she's ready to go in
the
the stand with you. But I knew he was gonna be a fantastic girl dad. He's looking up how to tie bows and
the hair,
all of it.
Oh, yeah. I watch Facebook Reels more than anything.
It's embarrassing. Facebook is for boomers. Seriously.
Hey,
he's addicted. He's addicted to Facebook.
Yeah, but I'll see all these dad hacks where they'll like get a shop vac and then they'll like put their hair in a ponytail with a vacuum cleaner. I'm like, okay,
I'm not doing that to her.
absolutely doing that. And she's like, no.
By the way, my girls went hunting with their dad when they were younger too. And I remember one time one of them got, right, Quinn? I don't know if it was you or Evan, you got a deer, got a doe. I don't know the terminology. All I know is I like to eat it. And a button buck?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a not fully mature.
Okay. And then I got the pictures sent to me. And, you know, they had some pink camo headbands. You know, it's 18 degrees. And then I was like, let's post it on Instagram.
Incoming PETA.
Yeah. I was like, this is probably 2017 or 18. And I'm like, let's stir the pot. So I guess I was bad sooner than I realized. But there was something beautiful, I thought, about, yes, teaching girls what that's all about. And, you know, the importance of being able to
Totally
look at a gun, hold a gun, and safety and protect yourself, and the time with dad, like the time with dad in the stands. So
It is, because there is a lot of sitting and waiting around.
yes.
And I think what I don't think people realize is that time right there is the time that you don't forget. Sure, like when there's action happening, it's great, but it's the memories that you make around all of that, because that's the quality time that you seldomly get outside of that, right? Because everyone's either on their phone or they're busy or they're watching TV. Things are going on, but when you're in the woods, you're literally sat watching, waiting for deer. You know, you
can't be on your phone because you might miss the smallest movement.
Yeah.
So you're literally just waiting. And I have some of my best memories with my grandfather. He's an elk hunting guide. And so he comes back from New Mexico. He's been out there for 2 months. He comes back today. And so some of my best memories as a kid were spending time with him. And, you know, when you're 10 years old, 12 years old, and it's freezing cold and you don't appreciate it then. But as I have now gotten older, my grandfather's gotten older, you realize how precious that time is, really. So to have that with our sweet baby, I think is
Beautiful.
just really sweet. Yeah.
So it's been 2 weeks. And
2 weeks.
listen, she's one of those people who, if you didn't have your baby in your arms and you're at the grocery store, no one would ever know. So physically since then, nothing? Like, how do you...
Again, like, I feel like there's almost a little bit of shame, or at least how it's portrayed online, in saying, like, I have had a fantastic pregnancy, labor, delivery, birth, and even now the 2 weeks since, because, I mean, my whole pregnancy, people would always tell me, you know, well, you just wait. And I was like, that scared me. Like, I was waiting for those last few weeks. People told me this would happen or that would happen. So I was waiting. None of those things happened to me. And they said, well, you just wait for delivery. Okay, I waited. My delivery was fantastic. Even now people say, well, catch up on your sleep while you can. I've been able to sleep totally great. I wake her up to feed her because she's sleeping as much as she can. So I wake her up twice a night to feed her. So physically, in terms of how I have felt, I was up and moving like an hour after delivering. Like, I was totally good. And I know there's value in resting, but look, I'm listening to my body. I truly feel just amazing. And so I want to be one of those birth stories that you hear and you realize, like, oh, there are good stories. Not everything is meant to be scary or horrific or traumatic or any of those things. Like, I have had a fantastic experience through and through. And so even now, being 2 weeks postpartum, I mean, we went on probably a 4 or 5 mile walk this morning. As I said, I was running throughout my pregnancy. And so, I mean, a 4 mile walk feels good. It feels manageable and doable. I feel totally fine.
You know, it is true though, that almost shaming where people are like, well, don't say that out loud.
Yeah.
Because others should. And yes, we are respectful, especially with infertility. I mean, we're respectful throughout your pregnancy. And it is sad that you're almost told not to enjoy it or to keep it quiet, because to your point, it is important for young mothers, even older mothers who still want to have a child, to not be scared and realize that, okay, sometimes you can't control things, right? Your body, whatever the situation with the baby. Other times you can with fitness, with health, and mental health, and how
Totally.
you choose to handle stress. You happen to have a lot of stress in your life and a ton of pressure, but both of you, and I know that's the beauty of your marriage, right? Is that you help each other to keep it all in perspective and maintain that peace. And look, Margot now, you
The
know,
most peaceful little thing.
yeah, I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, I don't either. And even my doctor said that because she has been like this, what everyone is seeing the entire time. Like she will sleep, I'll wake her up to feed her. Just the sweetest little thing. She'll, keep her eyes open even when they're open. She's really not crying. And so we called our pediatrician. I'm like, is this normal? Like she doesn't
something's
cry.
wrong.
Like I feel like something's wrong. And our pediatrician was like, no, your baby is feeding off of how you are, how her surroundings are. And if she feels as if she's in a calm environment, guess what? Your baby is going to be calm, God willing. And so that's exactly how she has been. And it is, I think, having him as really my anchor. I am so blessed to have so many people that I call my anchors. Just people who keep you grounded.
Yeah.
Having him in my life, being able to confide in him, talk about the work stuff or the political stuff or whatever else is going on out there with him is fantastic. But I mean, our home,
Yeah.
look at this dog too.
I know.
Like this is it's like my sanctuary. Like I feel so at peace. I feel so calm. We have a gate at the end of our driveway and it's kind of symbolic. Like I feel like when you drive through that gate and it shuts behind you, it's like you're leaving the rest of the world out there too. And so I just find so much peace and comfort here at home and certainly with Louie.
Were there any, let's start with Dad. Were there any fears that day? Like going to the hospital?
Yeah, so I was an emergency C-section. And I know, I decided to have one leg and one arm coming out.
Oh.
I mean, I was blue when I came out. Yeah, the whole, So you kind of, Riley and I had spoken about it before where the last thing that she wanted was a C-section. She just didn't want to have to go through, the kind of trauma of,
And recovery.
and the recovery is, it's traumatic. Like, getting cut open.
Oh,
So
for sure.
that was, that was playing in the back of my mind that, okay, things can happen during birth, and they do happen. We'd had the conversation previously of, okay, if I've got to make a decision, baby or mama, who am I picking? And yet that's things, they're conversations that you don't want to have, but
you do need to think, yeah.
If you don't want to have to make a game time decision and not be confident in the decision you make. And so all those things kind of play in your mind for sure. But I will definitely give credit to the hospital that we were at and the nurses.
They were awesome.
The way that they kind of handled everything. Because there was a moment in the middle of the night where, Riley's blood pressure was dropping, baby's heart rate was getting a little exciting. But I didn't feel stressed by it. And I do think that was, because of the nurses and stuff. But yeah, you get, as dad and, protector, you kind of do get a little anxious for things like this. But yeah, she was great. Nurses were great. Riley killed it. So
the idea was to be as natural as possible. And so I didn't want an epidural. As he said, there's no certainties in pregnancy or in the delivery process. And so I'd kind of my birth plan mapped out, literally written out actually, in terms of vaccines, who I wanted in the room, like if something were to happen and I couldn't verbally communicate these things, I wanted it all written out. So I did not want an epidural. And I wanted to go into labor naturally, but I think I just made like a very cozy home because she didn't want to come out. And so I was already kind of, I don't know if annoyed is a good word, but I felt out of control. Like I felt like I had to kind of relinquish control a bit because she had to be induced. And so we get to the hospital. We had scheduled a time where you go in and they give you the Cytotec and the Pitocin and all the things. And so we went in. They gave me the Cytotec, which I'm fortunate that kind of kickstarted things very fast, but kind of too fast. And so the contractions that the Cytotec, which is basically meant to ripen your cervix before you start Pitocin, well, it worked maybe so well. I don't know if you consider this so well on me that I never had to take Pitocin. And so my contractions at midnight that night, of course, the doctor's not in at midnight on a Sunday night, were, happening so often without the epidural at this point. I mean, it was every minute, but there was maybe 5 seconds of relief between each contraction. And so I was miserable. Like for an hour and a half, so from midnight until 1:30 that morning, middle of the night, I thought I was dying. I was nauseous, throwing up, freezing cold, shaking. Like I thought I was going to just like simply ascend into heaven. I was like, no, I can't do this. But I was so like, I think the competitor in me too, like I was like, I told myself I'm not getting an epidural, so I'm just not going to do it. But it reached a point where I was like not comfortable at all. And so you have this big red button essentially by your bed, because in the middle of the night, the doctors are only coming in however so often. I clicked the red button and
you were debating. You're like,
I was so debating.
Like, should I press it? I was like, hun, like I have seen you uncomfortable before. I was like, you're hurting at this point.
I mean, like, tears. Like, it was
really?
Not
I was like, you're not okay. I was like, push the button.
I am so excited to introduce you to Goods Candies. Yes, I come with treats. It's a small Indiana-based chocolate company with recipes that go back nearly a century. So it's a very small batch producer of very decadent confections, ranging from toffee to cream centers to their latest offering, peanut butter bombs. You know, Forrest Gump may have said this best, but I'm going to try. Life is like a box of chocolates, and I have one here, but Goods Candies wants you to make sure you know what you're getting. Its cream centers each have a very unique design. I'm going to open this in a second, so you're going to always know what's waiting inside. All varieties are offered in milk and dark. I take all of them. So for our business listeners, Goods Candies offers customized chocolate bar gift boxes, and these aren't customized wrappers like you get at the bank. Trust me. These are customized chocolate bars that can include your logo, a special message, whatever you'd like. They are the perfect client gift, and Goods Candies can handle all the shipping for you. Before I give you their website info, I'm going to open this little box. Take a look at this. First of all, it feels like it's 10 pounds. I meant it when I said decadent confections. And the smell is incredible. So the website, www.goodscandies.com. Viewers can save 20% through the end of the year with the promo code SAGE. Spell my name, S-A-G-E. So place your order online or reach out to Goods Candies at goodscandies.com with questions. Again, www.goodscandies.com. Enjoy, as I'm about to. So you had to almost give her permission.
Yeah, well, I think she was definitely looking for the conversation we had was, what am I going to tell them, that I'm in pain? She was like, everybody in here is in pain. I was like, well, yeah. I'm not going to tell them anything novel. What are they going to do? I was like, what you're going through right now is not, I don't think it's normal. And it was just a gut instinct. I didn't know, Yeah. This was our first child. We hadn't seen it before. I was like, but that's not normal. You're not okay. I was like, just push the button and let's see what they can say.
So they came in, gave me the epidural, and let me tell you, from that point on, that was when I really started to love every second of it. The epidural made me heavy, my legs felt heavy, but I could still move them. Yes. And that was a concern of mine in getting the epidural, was I didn't want to not be able to move my body.
Right.
That scares me. I could still move around decently, again, heavy. It was harder, but I could do it. It just felt like my legs were weighted. It made you kind of warm. Mm-hmm. There was a literal warm sensation. I loved it. I loved the epidural. And that is not what I thought I was going to love. And so now I will say, if and when, hopefully, God willing, again, we have another kid, I will absolutely be getting the epidural.
Yeah. Sooner. You wouldn't wait as long.
Sooner. I think the women who can do the home and natural births are literally superheroes.
Yeah.
I think you're Superwoman. Maybe the contractions were a bit different because it was, in a sense, induced. I wonder if natural labor would have felt any differently. But from that point on, and like you said, there was some concerns. So from then 1:30 to 4:30 that morning for 3 hours, my my blood pressure plummeted. And so they had to put me on oxygen. Her heart rate was dropping, and because the contractions were so frequent, she wasn't getting any relief either. And so they were freaking out. And the charge nurse.
So when the nurses, then there's tension in the room with the nurses, then of course you feel that. And you're like,
Well,
he was still so calm and I was still so
Yeah,
calm. I felt great at that point.
I don't want to say that they probably weren't freaking out. That's not the best way to put it.
Well-
They were moving with a purpose.
okay.
And you know when you're in a hospital and you have 4 or 5 nurses and the charge nurses there, and they're all kind of looking at the monitors and moving with a purpose, you can tell something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I felt calm because they seemed calm. You know, I could tell. You know, she was happy as a clam. I mean, there was. Who knows? I don't know.
Couldn't feel the contractions anymore, so that was good.
Yeah, who knows what's in the epidural? I mean, there's probably all kinds of stuff, but she was great. And so I was at peace knowing she was comfortable. I felt confident that the nurses knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, that they weren't, I don't want to say they were freaking out, but it was exciting. I heard one of the nurses talking about an operating room and how the operating room was full at that moment. And so I was like, I didn't bring anything up because I didn't know if she had heard that, and I didn't want to put that in the back of her mind. Oh my, am I going to have to go in for a C-section right now, knowing that she didn't want that. But they were definitely considering it, which got me paying attention a little bit more. You know,
and they told me the next morning, had the doctors been in and it not been the middle of the night, you absolutely would have had a C-section. They're like, we wouldn't have let that continue on for longer than it did.
Because of the drop in heart rate for both and blood pressure.
Yes.
Yes. So it was close.
Yeah, it was a little exciting for a minute.
But then they gave me this shot of something that slowed down the contractions. So then from like 4:30 to 7 the next morning, that Monday morning, everything I think was relatively regular. Again, I couldn't really feel it. I was, fully dilated at this point. So the doctor came in, broke my water, and she was here. Yeah. And the pushing process, like I pushed for maybe like 3 or 4 contractions. Like it was easy peasy. Yeah. We played worship music. Like it was like, again, like so enjoyable. And I loved the process. I really did.
And because they did a great job with the epidural, you felt it. I always say, like, to me, that's the most magical part, where like you feel this little baby that you've been cooking.
Totally.
Yeah.
Literally entering the world.
I felt it and I saw it because I asked the nurses, you start to push, and I was like, I feel like I'm missing out because I want to see what's happening. And so I asked them, I was like, do you guys have like a mirror? And they were like, you want to see? They're like, I promise you it's not pretty. I'm like, no, that's fine. Like, I want to see what's going on. I think that will like help me with the pushing too. And so they put a mirror down there, and it was the coolest thing ever. And they were right. Not that pretty, but you see like the baby's head start to like come out of your body. And it's the craziest thing because I saw all this dark hair, which really threw me off because I don't know why I thought she would have lighter hair. That's just what I had pictured in my head. And so I see all this dark hair, and like, I think that too kind of started the emotions going. Yes. And one other thing that, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think that kicked on your competitive nature as well, because you could see the top of her head and you could see her hair, and you're like, okay, she's nearly there. Like she's actually, the nurses are like, okay, keep pushing, nearly there, you're doing great. But when you can't see anything, it's just like, okay, they're the affirmations they tell everybody, right? And so I think you actually being able to see it was like, okay, she really is there. Like, let's go. And you were locked in.
I was. And the last kind of like woo-woo thing that I really wanted to do was, and he thinks this is like disgusting.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a little foul. Yeah.
I wanted to, and I did, I wanted to save my placenta. Mm-hmm. And so you deliver the baby, the doctor's down there. I didn't really know like what the delivering of the placenta was like, but they basically like push your stomach and like you feel nothing.
Yeah.
And so I had them keep it for me, and I have now got it encapsulated into pills. It is meant to be the most like nutrient dense thing you could possibly ingest, because that's what was providing her nutrients the whole time. And so we now have placenta pills.
The thought of that, just like they give you this little cooler to like ship it off in, and you feel like it's like an organ. Like it is an organ. It's like you feel like someone with a heart or something transplant going, and it's like, okay, we've got this cooler with a little human organ in it. I was like, I hate this.
And I put it in the mail and shipped it off, and they turned it in. They basically like dry it, like I guess dehydrate it like jerky.
Yeah.
And then
They really
crumble
do.
it down into pills. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh
Yeah, they
my
make
goodness.
placenta jerky and grind it up and put it in
Shut up.
capsules.
Don't say
Louis, like-
placenta jerky.
Well, that's what it is. It sounds awful. It really did sound awful.
Yeah, Louis like, I cannot believe you're doing this. But it's meant to be the best thing for like postpartum depression and things like that.
I
so-
didn't. Okay. A lot has changed.
A lot.
23 years since I first gave birth, which, by the way, high five, and your hands are full. But you're the only other woman that I know that did the mirror. I did it.
Oh my gosh.
And people thought I was disgusting, and her dad was like, "What? Why would you want to look?" And same thing.
Yeah.
I started sobbing, and it inspired me. I was like, and I was not an athlete like you, but I was like, "Oh, here we go!" Like,
Yeah.
and it was like the most beautiful thing. I hope
Totally.
people listen to this and take the. And oh, by the way, just have the mirror there. You don't have to
No.
use it,
Yeah.
but if it's there and ready, just in case, and then you can take a glance and be like, "Oh, never mind, move it
Get
away."
that mirror away.
But like, you'll never, for the rest of
Give
your
yourself
life,
the option.
forget
Yeah.
that moment that you actually saw your baby, which
No.
is before you got to hold her.
And everything goes back, too. Everything goes back. Which even like,
I love you.
it's crazy how now her being here, number one, I cannot believe just 2 weeks ago she was like in my
you.
stomach. Like, that's a crazy thought. But even now, like in terms of physically how I look, like my stomach kind of just went back to normal. So that's crazy.
Again,
like
this
it
is
all
where you're
just
gonna
goes,
get some
it all
hate
goes
DMs,
back.
some hate.
I know.
No,
I know.
but it is a miracle, and that is, I think it's also why God, He did it to make sure that we keep reproducing.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh wait, what happened? Like it doesn't even seem like it, and so we're gonna do this again. I have not heard of the pills, like the placenta. You heard about the blood and all of the important, obviously, nutrients in there to keep the baby alive, and then beyond. But I didn't know that you
That's a bit woo woo.
could. So you're taking them every day, like.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a literal.
You don't chew it, right? You just
No,
swallow it.
You
Let's
just
not chew
swallow it.
That sounds
And-
awful. Like the whole thought of it, I'm just like, ugh.
I know.
I mean, kind of the whole. I mean, even.
But you
through-
could. You could take it. Lily.
You
technically.
There's like people, like, I don't know if you know who like Liver King is. Like,
Yeah.
people like will buy placentas. And another reason why I wanted to take mine with me, because hospitals, allegedly, I've read stories, well, they will sell women's placentas because there are people out there who are either super into lifting or maybe just total weirdos who will buy and ingest placentas. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Well, okay, even our...
Oh, I didn't
I'm
know.
so with you on all. I don't want to.
No.
I'm so with you on all of this. I decided like.
This
3
is my
years ago
daughter
that I
speaking
needed
over
my
here.
placenta.
Wait,
She
what?
decided 3 years ago she's eating her placenta.
You have never told me that you want to
I don't
eat your
talk-
placenta.
No, I've known. I'm
Okay,
so, as
we'll
soon as you
continue
said
this
that,
later.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's funny because even this girl right here, lady, our female dog, we have 3 dogs. The other 2 are probably
They're out near
laying
the-
somewhere with
Yeah.
like their belly up.
Domestic terrorists,
Yeah.
probably. Just wild.
But she had 10 puppies. And I was thinking of like when I was reading about everything and seeing that you can like this is an option for women to do. I thought back to her when she had her puppies. Guess what? She ate all 10 of her placentas. So I think it's like a pretty primal, like, I mean, truthfully, like animalistic thing to do, but natural, at least in terms of other mammals.
Well, and as you're nursing, right? I mean, that makes sense. I'm guessing that.
I think so too. Yeah, to keep all of your vitamins and minerals and calorie count, even keeping all of that up, ultimately helps
Yeah.
supply and everything. So yeah,
So cool. Look, you're.
I think the other thing that we did that some people don't know to ask about was the delayed cord clamping. So before they like cut the umbilical cord, which I got to do, that was really cool. I wasn't kind of prepared for that, but that was really neat. Yeah, we waited until it turned white. So once it's white, it's done pumping everything through that it's going to pump. And so she's got everything that, the last kind of push of everything that, Riley was supplying. She got all of that. And then at that point, we're like, okay, she's got everything she needs. Now we can cut it. So yeah.
It totally makes sense. I wouldn't have thought of that before.
Because a lot of, and I think especially with the I'm going to say the larger hospitals where they're very much like, okay, we got to turn these beds over. I mean, baby comes out, cut it, placenta's gone. It's very,
Quick.
Yeah, they're turning the
They
tables
need
basically.
the rooms.
But yeah, you can ask him for a delayed cord clamping, and I would, make sure she gets everything that she
So
needs.
the whole time she was on my chest, she was still like connected to me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. I didn't know like the cord was that long.
Stretchy.
Or like stretchy or like it was just never a thought that crossed my mind. But yeah, it only took like 5 or so minutes, and then we decided to cut it. And one of the things also in terms of vaccinations, because I think we, as the general public, learned a lot over COVID. And ultimately, I think it has led, especially younger people. I've been so encouraged to see so many younger people and younger couples and younger families really begin to ask questions about vaccines or even big pharma. And so that was one of the things that we did, started really reading about what's in these vaccines. I was shocked to learn that these vaccines oftentimes are filled with mercury and aluminum, or how you say in England?
Aluminium.
They're like loaded with these things. But it struck me because during pregnancy, they tell you not to eat fish, or at least limit your fish intake, especially like fishy fish like salmon, because they're high in mercury. But we're going to give babies vaccines that have super high levels of mercury. And there's this huge shift in society to use deodorant that doesn't have aluminum in it. But we're going to give babies vaccines with 300 times the amount of the FDA recommended amount of aluminum to ingest or put in our bodies. It didn't make sense to me. And so in terms of vaccinations, we did nothing. That is not to say that we are anti-vax. It's not to say that maybe we won't later down the road for other vaccinations. But I think it's more so just asking the questions, getting information from a totally unbiased source. We had multiple books that we read that I really appreciated. One of them was the Vaccine Friendly Plan. One of them was the Vax Facts. These were fantastic resources for us. But it didn't make sense to give a baby, an infant, a newborn who is merely minutes old at this point, vaccines. Especially things like Hep B, which would require the mother to have Hep B, which I didn't, I still don't. So why would she then get a vaccine for that? We did give her the vitamin K shot. It is not a vaccine, but it helps with blood clotting and things like that. But we asked for the preservative-free vitamin K shot, which hospitals have and you can ask for, which I think then begs the question, why do they even have a vitamin K shot that has preservatives when they have a preservative-free option? So that's what we did in terms of vaccines and the resources that we use to come to those conclusions.
And we looked at what they do in England. So I was trying to figure out, like, I didn't know what I had growing up and stuff. But in England, they wait until you're 6 weeks old before they give you anything. And I think part of it is because in England, everything's paid for by the NHS. It doesn't cost people anything. I think they look at it a little more, they cut out the fat and say, okay, what do we need because it's actually costing the government money now? What do we have to give them?
Interesting.
What's not, what's the fluffy stuff that we can give it and make some money on it? Or, I think, so that was one thing that we looked at was...
And compare that to here, where they're charging insurance companies, or if you have to pay out of pocket, which it would be ridiculous to have a baby in the U.S., and have to pay for that out of pocket. The amount of money that a delivery, a birth cost, having a human, is insane. But yeah, you compare that to where Big Pharma knows, oh, well, we can make some money here. It's very different to the NHS.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that again, it's very telling. I'm not at all surprised at the amount of research and homework that you did with this. And I admire you so much. And it's, I try not to beat myself up because 20 plus years ago, we just weren't
totally
educated.
Yeah.
Internet was different, et cetera. But I trusted everything my doctors said, everything. And I think I got lucky. I had some good doctors along the way, but also got lucky that there were no ill effects on my kids because I pretty much said, oh yeah, if that's what you're telling me, absolutely yes. And that's the problem with what happened 5 years ago with COVID is now, okay, we lost trust completely. We know that we should never, ever trust again. And therefore, it is our responsibility as mothers and fathers to go take that deep dive and do the research so you know what is best for your baby and what your priorities are.
And I was just going to say, it's sad because we lost trust in a lot of institutions, not even just the medical field or the medical realm or our healthcare providers, like even in terms of our government, like there's not a lot of trust there. And that's a sad thing because you want to believe that regardless of which party, regardless of who is president, that they have your best interests at heart. Those authority figures, even in academia, like those are the people who are qualified, or at least, I mean,
on paper,
qualified to be providing you your education, but that's not what's happening anymore. And so I think with the transparency of the media that we have seen, especially social media over the past few years, I mean, certainly it's allowed us to start to question lots of different realms and factions of society, which I think, again, you don't want to do. Who wants to be, doing all the things that we're doing, traveling around, but still open up a book and read about vaccines? Like, that's not what I wanted to be doing, but I recognize, we both did, we recognized it as something that was necessary to ensure the best that we can as parents, our daughter's safety and her health and her wellness and her well-being.
And it was hard to find information about all this stuff. Like doing research, it wasn't readily available. Like if you do like a Google search for it, it doesn't just throw all this information at you, which makes it hard to, where do you look? How do you find it? Where do we get this information from? It wasn't as easy as we thought it was going to be.
Which that doesn't surprise me either, I guess, because they don't want us to know all of these things because it's tied to big pharma, and then they would lose money if we decide to not get more about. Like you go down that rabbit hole.
And they all work together too. Like Google works with big pharma. Totally. Like it's not like this big conspiracy.
Look
like
at
it's
all the COVID
proven
stuff, right?
Right.
I mean, it's coming out that they were, especially like things like Facebook. They were all they were censoring stuff. So yeah, it wasn't as easy as it probably should be to just get facts about everything and just information, because the other side of it was, I think there's two extremes right now. There's the 10th COVID booster end of the spectrum, and then there's the absolutely zero vax end of the spectrum. And we're neither of them. And I think a lot of everyday people aren't that binary one end of the spectrum. So it was hard to kind of just give me the information about
Let
it.
us decide.
And let you decide.
And that was what those books had. It was relatively unopinionated. It was like, look, here's what it is. Here's the information.
Did you get any pushback from doctors?
I will say, being here in Tennessee, we were very blessed to have a fantastic doctor. He was willing to work with what we wanted. He had his recommendations and he had his guidance that he provided. But at the end of the day, he's like, look, it's your baby. So do what you think is best for your baby. And I am here to help with that. And so our doctor was fantastic. So we had this thing because her blood type is different than my blood type. So we found out after the fact that her blood was basically fighting my blood and was creating antibodies to kill my red blood cells. But ultimately, in doing that, it was killing her red blood cells too. And so her first night, I guess, in the hospital, she got to be in the room with us, which was another thing I was adamant on. I was like, unless there's something really wrong, like I don't want you taking her from me. Again, you hear too many horror stories.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't want her leaving the room unless there's something that I'm reasonable, but
really.
Right. And so she had to spend her first night in the room with us, but under this like blue light to help with her bilirubin levels. And so there was a bit of jaundice there. And so NICU nurses were involved in this process. And when the NICU nurses came in, that's where there was a bit of shame. Granted, they see some of the worst things, and they see babies who, oftentimes could be on the brink of death. And so they came in and they, so why did you defer the Hep B vaccine? I'm like, this is whatever she's dealing with right now has nothing to do with that. So why are you even asking me that?
And
Is that what you said?
Yeah, I'm like,
like Riley's not got Hep B, so why does she need it?
yeah.
And they were like, okay. And it's just like
They probably were surprised that you
new.
Well, and
Like-
then she needed, because of this blood thing or whatever it was, she needed to have donor milk at the time, because the first few days before your milk supply comes in, you're just basically making colostrum, which again, my supply was fine. It's been fine. She was getting everything she needed. But because of where she was, she needed donor milk. And so I would have preferred her to have donor milk as opposed to formula, but I asked the nurse who came in and told me she needed donor milk. Again, this is the middle of the night. The next day after she had been born, she said, "Your baby needs donor milk. Are you okay with that?" I said, "Well, yes, but like, who are the donors, right? Because I have been very particular about what I put in my body. How do I know the person that would be providing their milk, or in this kind of refrigerator that you guys have filled with milk? How do I know that woman didn't have the COVID vaccine? And if that's the case, like, does that something that is pasteurized out?" Like, I had all these questions for her, and she said, "I don't know. I've never had someone ask me that. Why don't you look it up and then let me know?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"It's not my
Just
job
like,
to do that research." I was so shocked by that.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Actually do your
It's like,
job.
what?
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, I'm like, we had been up basically for 24 hours at this point.
Do
I'm
your
like,
research.
did she just tell me to let her know?
Wow.
I know, baby. I
But
know.
you all have also made a beautiful decision with pediatrician, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we've been very fortunate to find the one that we're using. It's a pediatric concierge service, so where they do in-home visits, and she's great to the point, where we can say, she from the start she said, if you want to do everything, all the vaccines and all that stuff, cool, we can do that. If you don't, ask me questions. I can tell, I can give you the facts and the data on it, and then you guys make your own decision. And pediatricians, that's not standard practice now, I would say.
That's where we had the hardest time finding a pediatrician outside of the doctor. My OBGYN was fantastic, but it was finding a pediatrician that was willing to see a baby who was unvaccinated. We have since learned that doctors and pediatricians, if 80% of their patients receive the full vaccine schedule by the time they're 12 years old, they get a certain amount of bonus or a certain amount of raise. And so they don't want to see patients who aren't fulfilling that requirement for them to get the bonus. And so they'll simply turn you away. And again, this is in Tennessee, where like a pretty conservative part of Tennessee, where you wouldn't imagine you would have to face this, especially with the growing number of people who are choosing to take the route that we have taken. But that is something we had a hard time with. And so this woman, it's fantastic. Again, she'll come to your house, which I prefer. I think especially with, having a baby whose immune system is so frail and fragile and developing, you don't want to take them to sit in a waiting room where there's all these sick little grubby daycare kids. And I say that my sister has a 1-year-old boy, and it's so funny. He's like the cutest, sweetest little thing, but he'll come home from daycare with like bite marks all over his arm where other little kids are biting him, and he'll come home with someone else's milk bottle in his bag. I'm like, oh gosh,
When do you go to the doctor? It's usually when you're sick. Mm-hmm. So you go to the waiting rooms, and it's full of sick kids, because that's they're there for a reason. So it was comforting to know that she's not going to live in a bubble. Absolutely, she needs to go out and
there's dogs and love on her here already.
I mean, we try not to let them lick her face, but do they every now and then get the occasional little lick as they're trying to go away? Yes, it happens.
And this girl loves her lady. Again, I don't know if it's the fact that she had puppies or what it is, but she wants to be as close to this baby as she possibly can.
And when you were pregnant, that's how she was with you.
Oh my gosh, when I was pregnant, we have 2 other male dogs. She would like fend them off. Like she would circle me like a little shark. And if the male dogs got too close to me, she would, kind of nip at them, like back up, like let her just grow this human. Yeah. And that's exactly what she did. And now she will just sit at the bassinet or at the little swing over there and just watch. And it's the sweetest thing.
So protective.
It is.
Mama.
Yeah, it's like Nana from Peter Pan.
Yeah.
She's like that dog.
And she keeps the other 2 in check. If Buddy, he is our bull in the china shop, he came running through the door a little too fast the other day, and she was not having it. She knew that we'd just walked in with the baby, and she got on him. She was like, that's outside behavior,
Really?
not in here. Yeah.
Wow.
She's been amazing.
Do you want to just really quickly tell about my push present too? Because if there are any women watching this who are pregnant or hoping to get pregnant, this is the standard, a push present.
Oh my gosh.
It's the standard. And
It's the
men
biggest-
watching,
it's a scam.
you should know to get your wife or your spouse or your baby mama a push present.
It's a scam. It like
It's
all
a
the-
scam, but
whatever.
it is a way to get another gift. But no, I was when I found out about this through Riley.
I was going to ask you that. Did
like
you
a hint.
discover this, or did Riley say, "Hey, have you ever heard of a push present?"
She dropped some hints
Okay.
early on. She was like, "Now, don't forget, I need a push present." I was like,
Joking,
"What is a
kind
push
of.
present?
Kind of,
I've
sorta.
never heard of it."
Joking.
But yeah, so I wanted. Obviously, she had been carrying this baby for 9 months, and
It's
so
10.
it
It
seemed
is
10.
10.
Sorry,
It is
40
10.
weeks.
That's
They
true. It
lie, they lie to women.
Yeah,
Like
that,
10.
that was another thing. Trying to keep up with all the how many weeks she is, and you
Yes.
know, okay, is that 6 months? Is that not?
I
yeah.
know.
I
don't
felt like
get
I was
that
6
calendar.
months for 3 months, so
You did that.
Well, you looked like you were 6 months when you were 10 months.
10 months. I love this.
But yeah, it seemed warranted. She had been growing our little human for
warranted.
10 months, and so I thought, okay, let's get her something. And I like jewelry. I have.
Do you?
Yeah, in high school, I bought and sold watches, shoes, bags, you name it.
Illegally
Yeah,
in the UK.
yeah, seriously.
Maybe that's growing up in Dubai too, where there's much more of an emphasis on like
It is very
fine
materialistic.
jewelry
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
diamonds and things
Okay.
like that.
yep. So I wanted, I've taken pride in the jewelry that I get her, and so I wanted to get her something that we could start almost a little bit of a tradition or like an heirloom kind of thing. So I knew I was going to get her something jewelry related. And her birthstone Margot's birthstone is a sapphire. So I was like, okay, it's only fitting that we've got to do something with a sapphire. So we went for a ring that it's set up to the point where we can continue on the more babies we have. So the first one, this one, it's a row of
We
diamonds,
get a close up.
row of sapphires, row of diamonds.
So
So
the
it's-
diamonds are mama.
Well,
Which
diamonds.
is my birthstone, by the way, April.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So diamonds, mama. The sapphire is Margot. So when we have another one, it'll go from a 3 stack. We'll step it up to a 5 stack. So we'll do another birthstone and then another row
And
of
then
diamonds.
another row of diamonds.
So it kind of, we can continue on and build from it. And then when it's time, when we either die or feel that it's the right time, we can then give each of our kids
Oh my
their
gosh.
push present. So yeah, I wanted to do something that we could build on. I thought about a necklace for a while, but how do you add on to a necklace? You add another pendant to the chain, and I was it didn't seem right. So yeah, that's how we ended
It's
up.
You
Really
see why
beautiful.
I always thought he would be a good girl dad.
Yeah,
He
see?
thinks about these things and like
It wasn't just a gift. It needed to be a
No.
gift that had meaning.
and as I mean masculine as he is and like does all the manly stuff, has a construction business, again hunting, like all of those things, and just the most fantastic protector and provider to our family. Like I can so appreciate I don't want to say there's a feminine side to him because
Yeah, don't say that. Shoot.
but there
don't have that.
but you do have like a very touching emotional side to you.
Yeah.
That is like it's not feminine, but it's
Well, there's a
it
softness.
can be appreciated by
Well, I think growing up. So my parents divorced. I was raised. We lived with my mom. So I was brought up with a very, I don't say feminine perspective, but I was fiercely protective over my mom. You obviously as men we should honor and uphold women, but I think when you are brought up by a mother, it kind of takes it to a new level.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think that was she'd always taught me to spoil whoever when I was dating and stuff. It was the same way. I would treat them well, and I think you're lucky that you get that now. So
I am.
yeah.
And the cute British Southern country accent.
When we first
Isn't that
met,
so funny?
yeah, I knew where you were from, but I was so confused, and I thought it was also there's some Australian in there.
Yeah.
Is what I thought, and I'm like, okay, UK, English, Australian, Kentucky, Tennessee.
It's all messed
Speak
up.
and write fluent Arabic. Like it's like the most cultured.
The most English thing about it.
I,
that
honestly,
is the most
like
English thing. You ain't wrong.
honestly.
Wow.
And so I feel so like I am like Tennessee through and through.
Yes.
Like you will have to drag me out of this state. Like dating him, I told him pretty early on, like I will never move to England, by the way. Like I'm not moving there. Like you will have to move to Tennessee. Like this is home. My family's here. So I am Tennessee through and through. So to be married to someone who is truthfully so cultured, like that's another thing that has really opened my eyes and I've grown to appreciate because I think, I mean, even still really like I'm a creature of habit. I know what I like.
Yeah.
I like what I know, that kind of thing. But
You don't order the same thing every time we go eat somewhere.
No. But now I can appreciate other cultures and
Yeah.
all that stuff a little more. Which,
Can you speak some Arabic?
Marhaba, Anna Ismi Louis. Hi, my name is Louis.
Mahaba.
yeah, go ahead.
Anna Ismi. Yeah, that's my name is.
And French, like it's so much more well-rounded than me.
So this is the femininity. No, we're not going to use that word. He doesn't like it. No, that softness, like that warmth. Did you feel that right away when you guys were in college? Because for those who don't know, they both swam at Kentucky, and that's how you guys met.
Once upon a time, swammers.
I know,
That's,
swammers.
Very proud swammers.
Yeah,
Past tense.
Very
Yes.
much so. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly. I think initially, and I'm kind of ashamed to say it, but you go off to college, it's the first time like away from your family. I heard the British accent and I was like, oh, like I am calling dibs on him. I told all my roommates who were also swimmers, which it's kind of like a thing, like swimmers typically date other swimmers.
Of course.
What, swim
And you're
cess?
training together.
Yeah.
Swim
Cess.
cess?
Oh, that's
We
that's
had a
probably
wedding
gets
this
labeled
weekend of two of our friends on the swim team who got married. So like it's a thing. I didn't really want to date a swimmer. Like I actually swore up and down I was not going to date a swimmer. Partially.
Your dad thought I was gay at first.
Well,
Oh my
okay.
God.
My
Absolutely,
dad, to be
yeah.
fair, he thinks any man who's going to voluntarily wear a Speedo,
Yeah.
he can't rationalize with that because he was a football player.
Yes.
You know, kind of like your big,
Manly,
burly,
Southern
like
gentleman.
NFL player. He's like, no, if a man is going to voluntarily put on panties for his sport, that's what he calls it. He's like, then there's no other reason than they're gay. I'm like, Dad,
We'll overlook the whole jockstrap in the locker room thing that they got going
That's
on.
a great
but, you
point
know.
for football players. But
Yeah.
the Speedo.
Yeah, that's the line.
Did he
that's
really
crossed.
say that to you?
well, he was joking, but
I love
he
it.
was like, Riley, like, come on, like, don't you want to date like a football player? I'm like, well, Dad, like, and he has come so far too because even me growing up, like, he was convinced just swimming wasn't a sport at all. Like, if it didn't have a ball in it, like, it's not a sport. If you don't have to jump very high or run very fast, like, it's not a sport.
And then his daughter, his youngest, is a gymnast.
Exactly.
No balls there.
Exactly. That's like a
let
duo
me
too.
watch how I say it.
No,
and then I'm
that's
gonna
like
get-
a duo. That's so
Yeah,
true.
there's a double
Well, at
meaning
least there
in
shouldn't
there,
be. And so he has come so far, and it honestly, like one of my favorite moments from my collegiate career was my senior year at SECs, which is like your big conference meet. You know, it's I mean, outside of NCAA's, which is your national championships, it's the fastest meet in the world. Faster than the Olympics comparatively because of how much depth even the SEC has in terms of swimmers. We get those people from other countries who come to SEC schools to train and all that stuff. And so it's the fastest meet outside of the national championships in the world. And so I'm geared up. I'm ready to go. My dad is in the stands and I can hear him. I'm getting on the block for the 200 butterfly. The girl in the lane next to me is the 3-time defending SEC champion. Like, she holds the SEC record. I was almost certain that I was fighting for second place kind of going into that race. And I'm standing on the block and it's this like moment of silence kind of because, you know, it's the take your mark. And in that moment, like, it gives me chills to think about it. Like, it goes dead silent and that's where you lock in. And they say, take your mark. And I hear my dad. This is like what you don't do at a swimming. Like, think about like a golf tournament, right? Like,
Yes.
you don't scream when they're on the backswing. Well, they say, take your mark. And I hear my dad in the stands. He's always called me Pooh my whole life.
What's the story behind that, hun?
I don't know, but he's always called me it. And so I hear in the stands, let's go, Pooh. And it's meant to be this silent moment. But honestly, like, I locked in then. And I was like, I'm not fighting for a second. I'm going to win this race. And dive off the block. It's the 200 butterfly again, which is, a lot of people would view this as like the most grueling.
Brutal.
Like,
200 doing that stroke.
yes. And so at that point, I knew when I dove in the water, I was going to win. And I did. And I beat the three-time defending champion. I broke her SEC record.
Oh my gosh.
So, being the fastest person to ever come out of the Southeastern Conference in the 200 butterfly, not even an event I really trained for necessarily. I kind of just got thrown in it because we needed someone to do it, and that's what I did. But my dad, all that to say, like, in that moment, I realized, like, he totally thinks swimming is a sport.
Yeah.
He would never admit it to me, but he recognizes how hard I work. And there's a video of him afterwards where he's jumping up and down. He's so, so proud of me.
I have never seen a man hop the way that he was hopping right
He
there.
was so excited.
And he's a big guy.
Oh yeah, he's well built. He ain't that tall, but he's
Right.
a football player. You could tell. But yeah, it was.
But he was. So you guys were together at that point.
I wasn't. I was in Lexington. We were dating, but I was in Lexington. Because we'd had SECs the week before.
Okay.
And so that was our off week, should we say? Mm-hmm. So I was in Lexington, but someone had sent me the video of him just like hopping around over there. It was kind of
so
funny.
cool.
He proposed to me a few weeks after that, actually.
Really?
The day
How-
after.
You know what? You tell this really quick.
How did you do it?
So it was the.
I hope it wasn't at a pool.
No. At that point,
starting
I
blocks.
think I was like trauma scarred by swimming pools at that point. So
I started a swimming pool company.
So I started a swimming pool.
Naturally.
Company, yes, naturally, right. The joke has been made. Oh, you must know a lot about pools because you spent so much time in them. They're different.
It's different.
But yeah, it was the day after everything, the tuna freestyle. I guess a couple of days after the tuna freestyle NCAAs where.
Will Thomas came into the picture.
Yeah. And so,
her friend Will.
Yes.
Williams.
And so he proposed the next day.
Yeah.
And obviously neither of us could have ever anticipated like the direction either of our lives would go
I
from
had to
that
catch her while
moment,
you were
from that
down,
race.
you know?
Oh, please.
Wait, what did you
think
say?
I had to catch her while she was down. I didn't
Oh,
think she'd say
please.
yes otherwise.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I'd had the ring for a few months.
Really?
Yep. My brother actually came over from England. I'm surprised that you didn't know that something was up when my brother just came over for an impromptu trip. The amount of money it costs to ship jewelry overseas is obscene. So I had my brother fly it over. It
was cheaper to have him fly it?
Yes. It was cheaper to pay for a plane ticket and basically feed and house him for a week than it was to ship this ring over. So her engagement ring was a ring that my granddad gave to my mum. And so we took all the stones out of it and had them made into a new band. I'd already spoken to her dad, so I had no idea when or how I was going to do it. I just had the ring. I was like, okay, step one, done.
And you did the design, like the redesign.
Oh, I had
You
no
had no
say. He had no idea my preference on anything.
I actually did the complete opposite to any guidance that I was given.
Yeah. You really did.
Everyone had said from the start, she's gonna want just a plain single stone on a band, and I was like, okay, I'll look at it. I had 5 options for rings, designs that I'd picked out, and the one that she has was kind of like my wild card. I was like, I liked it, but it was everything. It was the complete opposite to what everyone had said. So she's got it's a 5 stone with one center stone, and then it's got smaller diamonds all through the band as well. I looked at it and I was like, that's incredible. I love that. And so I was like, okay, I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing. I'm going against everything. I was a nervous wreck that she wasn't going to like it. But I don't know. I
love it.
did all
It's
right.
nothing I would have picked. I would have not picked, honestly, really anything about it. I'm a gold person. It's platinum or silver. I would not change a single thing about it. I feel like it's very unique.
Yeah.
It's very different. I love every single thing. I'm so glad you didn't listen to the guidance anyone gave you, but I absolutely wouldn't have picked this. But I'm so glad
And
that
with
you
such
did.
meaning. With such
It
meaning
is.
because it was in the family. So
And-
how did you do it?
So I woke up that morning and decided today's the day. Don't do that, man. That's risky.
My
Very
nails
risky.
were still, because we had just finished this national championship meet, which was my last meet ever. So I was effectively done swimming. But when you go to like a big championship meet, it's fun because your whole team will go and get their like nails done together. And you do these like super outlandish, crazy nails. And so my nails were, when I tell you gold chrome, like they were the ugliest, most
like Easter
gaudy,
eggs.
like gold fun chrome. Like they were not cute
Perfect.
at all.
Well, the only other guidance that I had been given was make sure that your nails were done.
Okay, not gold.
They were done.
But they were done.
The box was checked. So the nails were done and the hair needed to be done. And she just got her hair done that day. So I was like, perfect. Today is the day. So I said, look, I texted her, said, hey, we're going to go out for dinner. We'll leave whenever. Look cute. That's all I said. Just nothing terribly out of the
Which-
ordinary.
Didn't even cross my mind. I wouldn't have even guessed. Like most women, when they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea my fiance or husband was going to propose. Like, I had no idea. I wouldn't have even thought it would have been in the next 2 years. And actually, kind of what I had advised him, because at this point, following college, like I was going to dental school. That was my plan. But the dental school that I was going to, University of Tennessee, their campus is actually in Memphis. And so I didn't want him to move to Memphis with me because I didn't want us to, really start our roots in Memphis. No, thank you. That's the armpit of Tennessee. I knew I wanted
Bring
to
in
be
the
in
National
Nashville.
Guard.
So
Yeah, Donald Trump. Yeah.
yes, exactly. And so I told him, like, why don't you just you have a business in Nashville, stay there. I'll be done with dental school in 4 years. It's not that far of a drive, so we'll still see each other, but I don't want to get engaged and live apart from my fiance. So I don't know what my plan really was, but I had pretty explicitly told him, like, don't propose.
Did the
So I
complete
had no
opposite.
idea that he was.
This is a pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing the complete opposite.
Yeah. So we went downtown, went out. We're going out for dinner. And I think you kind of caught on at this point because we pulled off 65 and we got off at the exit by the Titan Stadium. And I said, I've never been to the Titan Stadium, which was true. I'd never had. So we drove around the parking lot and I was like, I'd loosely looked up like cute-ish places to propose where there's like a good view or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was like a little spot down there that somewhere had popped up online saying that might have been okay. So we did one loop around the stadium and I was like, oh, that's the spot, but I've missed the parking for it now. So we had to do another loop around the stadium and you're like, why are we going back around?
do
I
we
was like,
do?
no, let's go for a walk. It starts raining,
Pouring.
like pouring down. I had an umbrella. I was kind of prepared. I knew there was a risk that it might rain. So we pulled over, parked, went for a walk, and similar to Margot, as soon as the ring came out, I was bawling, crying. The knee hit the ground, and I was just like, it's gone.
So the planned speech or actual words, how did that go if you were bawling?
I couldn't tell you. I blacked out for a minute. Like I really like that moment there. I have no idea what I said I just blacked out. And I was crying, and I don't even know if I actually said anything or if the ring was just there and I'm crying.
I don't remember either.
You
But I
don't?
do remember like it all happened so fast, and like I said, like genuinely like was so out of left field for me, where I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to pose. There's a camera somewhere, right? Like I have to like you know, there was no camera. It was pouring down rain. Afterwards, I'm like, Louis, like.
Where's the photographer hiding in the bushes?
No, but
I did
it's so
try, but last minute, same day, it's kind of hard to get a photographer lined up.
And
I
it's
was
so
like,
funny
it'll be
how
all right.
you think you have these, like your future planned, but as soon as he got down on one knee I knew, of course, my answer was yes, and I couldn't have imagined it any other way. And so, where I thought in my mind, like, I didn't want to get engaged yet, immediately seeing that and knowing the person that he is and the lifestyle that we want and that we can build and how we make each other better people, like, I mean, of course, my answer was yes. And from then on, like, it's just been the biggest blessing. And I highly, highly recommend, because I was still in school. Like, I was still,
Were you 20?
in college. 21.
You were 21. When you
Yeah.
got engaged.
Yeah, which is wild. And you don't see that. You don't really hear that happening. But it has been the biggest blessing of having someone, I mean, your best friend, who doubles as, the love of your life, and getting to go through all of these fun stages together, whether that is kind of like the craziness of, I mean, you think about the cool things we've been able to do over the past few years, like go to the White House, be at inauguration. I mean, all of like the super cool things, getting to do that with him, but now stepping into this role too, like it has been the best thing. And you have people who will tell you, especially being young, don't get married young. It's kind of like the beginning of the end when you do. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. It is not the beginning of the end. I mean, it's kind of like the beginning of I mean, forever. Like, it's the most beautiful, amazing thing. And I feel like my life only just started when we got engaged and got married. So
the beauty of the timing too, because I mean, you're 21 years old, and right after Will Thomas, right after that devastation, really, and disappointment in so many people. We've talked about that at length for sure. But I don't know. I think about how you would have been doing that more alone.
When
you would have been together dating, but like the toughest time in your life, when you had the toughest decisions to make, like, do I just stay silent or do I say, no, this is wrong? Not knowing that it was going to lead to any of this, but you had a teammate from the beginning of this fight, really.
And you think back to 2022, it was a totally different political, cultural, social climate that we were living in. Like, it was not favorable at all to say what I was saying, which was merely that this is a man and he's not a woman and he can't become a woman. And I'm a woman. We are women and we deserve fairness and we deserve safety and we deserve equal opportunity. Like that was it. But saying that was not looked favorably upon by the media, by social media. I mean, virtually in any realm, at least not publicly. Privately, absolutely. I think the support has always been there, but it was like in whispers or winks or like behind closed doors where people felt comfortable enough to tell you, like, you keep going.
Yes.
You keep fighting for that. And that was really hard for me because at the time I had, just learned how to use my voice, how to say what I wanted to say. I didn't know how to do it effectively. I didn't know the kind of lingo or language that I needed to use or the messaging tactics. Like, all I knew was what we had just went through was a total injustice to women everywhere. But saying that out loud, it caused an onslaught of hatred and just people who were totally vile, who said the most awful, heinous things you could possibly imagine. And so having him there for that, like, again, I don't know if I would have done what I have continued to do if I had to kind of go through that alone or without, my partner for life.
Yeah, and we'd had conversations early on, should I speak out? Should I do this? And I remember we had a conversation in Lexington, and we were in the house that you were renting. We were in the bedroom, and I was laying on the bed, and you're like, what do I do about all this? And so I said, well, look, if you speak out, you're going to take some arrows, but guess what? We're going to do it together. Yeah. And then here we are. That was, 4 years ago, I guess?
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy to think. 3.5.
How was that for you from the moment you knew that she had made that decision?
I didn't know what it looked like. I don't think neither of us knew what it looked like. And I think we were both pretty naive. I mean, we were 21 years old at the time. We didn't know what this looked like, how it was going to play out, or how charged this issue was going to become. And so, people saying stuff online, people always say stuff online. They always have. It's faceless and keyboard warriors, so that stuff like that, it didn't really get to us. I don't think it too bad. I mean, you got thick skin. I mean, obviously it's not nice having people say horrible things, but you kind of just take it and brush it off.
Well, when you know where your identity is found,
Yeah.
who cares of things of this world,
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I learned pretty early on, is that, we are fighting for the hope and the promise of eternal life. And in doing that, who cares about what happens for the very, very brief time that we are on this planet, and the grand scheme of things? Like, it doesn't matter. And so I would say, I mean, truthfully, like really early, like I was able to kind of use that as what kept my sights moving forward in doing what was right objectively, right? I mean, biologically, how men and women are different, but also like it's very clear in the Bible, men and women were created equally, but different, like each with intentionality and purpose. And we were made in God's image, his perfect image. And we have a creator who doesn't make mistakes. Mm. And in knowing that, that's what's kind of given me the cover and the security and the confidence to say, especially on this topic, what I've been saying for the past few years now.
Yeah, and I've loved seeing you grow in that role as well. But as husband, it is hard sometimes when people, the comments and stuff online, whatever, they're basement dwellers, they're just, whatever. But
the Keith Olbermanns of the world.
Yes,
the Keith Olbermanns, yeah. You are just, yeah. I won't go there. I did tell her we should do a charity boxing match, me and Keith Olbermann, and we'll do it on the White House.
It's not a call for violence.
Not a call for violence.
but
it would be,
pick your charity, Keith, and we'll set it up.
Yeah, and it would take 0.5 seconds for you to make him he would just run away. Yeah. That's what would happen. You wouldn't even get to hit him. But that protective side of you, the man in you who has always been her protector. Mm-hmm. Like, it is different when she's heading into the belly of the beast, San Francisco State, the first time before you knew what would happen there. And then...
and we were naive. We thought she was going to speak to some college kids. Big deal, right? Getting a call at, I guess it was like 2:00 in the morning here. Well, it was actually a text at first. And when she was traveling, I was working another job, so I couldn't travel with her. I keep my ringer on, tell her to text me when you get back to the hotel, all this stuff. And I heard my phone go off, so I looked at it, and it was a text saying, just got punched in the face by a dude in a dress. And
so crazy.
I have never felt as powerless, I guess, as I did at that moment. Like, what are you supposed to do, right? You just got a text saying your wife's been punched in the face by a man in a dress, and she's 3,000 miles away, 1,500 miles, whatever it is. I can't do anything as a husband. That was a true helpless feeling. And I remember laying in bed, and I've got a pretty good temper on me. I don't usually get too riled up by things, but I remember shaking. I was so mad, and that there's no outlet for it. I'm alone in a room. I've got my wife on the phone. You hear all these, just animals on the other side of the door trying to break it down. I think one of the few things that I do remember from that night was there was a cop in the room with you, and I didn't realize you had the phone on speaker. And I said to Riley, I was like, look, you tell that cop, if anybody gets through that door, he better empty his gun into him, or I'm emptying mine into the cop. I was like, it's one or the other. Wow. That's how I felt in the moment. Looking back on it, we realized that the campus police did a abysmal job, should we say, looking after you. And, I feel comfortable saying that. We love, I've talked to her. I'd love to be a police officer, but not being a citizen, that's kind of hard, right? We have a lot of respect for them. But we've told the police chief from that day to his face that, we saw him again. We went back to San Francisco State, and we told him how poor of a job he did.
Well, it was not only just negligence, it was also the fact that the campus police actually sided with the protesters and the mob, telling me like, look, we have to take their side. We have to be allies to them. There's nothing we can do. to the point where, I mean, I'm in this room. I'd been up because of the time change and things. It was the middle of the night. Again, it's like midnight at this point in California. I got on a flight early that morning, so virtually had been up for 24 hours. I was so tired. I was so disoriented. I was so like not sure how I was going to get out of this room. Again, the mob on the outside is banging on this door, again, saying the things they wanted to do to me, which were horrific. And so, I mean, there were tears in my eyes, like, can't you do something? Like, I just want to go home. I told the officer, the chief, and he said, that's really selfish. Don't you think I want to go home? And it was at this point where I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're not here to protect me or to do your job. Like, you are totally siding with the mob outside the room. And that was a really hard realization because, again, this is San Francisco, and it wasn't the San Francisco Police Department. It was the campus police department. So San Francisco State University PD. But it was a hard realization because, of course, like, I am the biggest supporter of our law enforcement, of our U.S. military members, of our first responders, like, of course. But to have those people you admire and respect and whose job it is to protect you so unwilling to do that was like, I was really shocked by that.
What did you say when you went back?
It was the same guy. It was the same chief who was still in charge of the event that I was doing the next time. And even went back again with Charlie Kirk, and we did an event together. And the same guy, and I told him, I said, look, I'm shocked you're still here. Quite frankly, I don't feel very comfortable or safe with you being here because you did nothing to ensure my safety last time. And he was, kind of gobsmacked that I
wasn't expecting it. It was a good job. Yeah, we rocked up with an army of security guys to take
and it
care
was
of
that
her
point
because they had proven that they were incapable of doing their jobs. We said, fine, we're going back, but you stay out of this.
Security.
We don't trust you.
You two went up to him together. So you're standing there when she said that.
We were walking in. Yeah, we'd just got out of the car. And we were walking up to the little green room beforehand, and he was trying to be all jovial and cheery, and we're like,
remember the last time I saw you?
Yeah.
We were stuck in a room together.
Yeah.
I bet he thinks about that deep down.
Well,
He knows.
You would hope.
and even after that, when all of this happened, we found out, even the DOJ is investigating now, how the university and the police department actually colluded with the students to make sure I was held captive. And so they're doing their own investigation into that. But anyways, in learning some of this stuff, I reached out to the police department and I said, look, like, I think charges should be pressed to anyone who needs to be held accountable, whether that's the individual students, whether that's the university, whether that is the police department. To which they told me, look, there are no grounds for any charges to be pressed anywhere. Sorry, you're out of luck. Again, I was basically kidnapped for 5 hours, 4 hours almost, I think, almost 5 hours in this room. And there's nothing you can do. That's crazy. And so the security piece, again, the online stuff, whatever. I have thick enough skin and enough security with myself and with my stand that is in one ear out the other. I don't care what you comment online.
Ad hominem, just
Baseless.
name calling. The online stuff is just whatever.
But I do think there's a level, I think when you're going on college campuses and you see the hostility, I know.
Tell us about it, girl.
that you're met with, and you see people like Charlie Kirk, who ultimately had his life prematurely ended by a person, or what we know as the public. I think maybe there are still some questions as to, who all was involved here. But I mean, the motive is very clear, as it was written on the shell casings of saying, using kind of this trans rhetoric, calling him a fascist, someone who is involved in the furry community. Like, these people who lobby for the trans issue are legitimately insane. That's not to say I don't think there are some people out there, maybe people who use the preferred pronouns and they think they're doing it, they have good intentions behind what they're doing. Maybe that's a faction of the crowd, but if you are someone who genuinely believes that men can get pregnant, or that women can have prostates, or any of the other crazy nonsense that the trans people believe, or the people who lobby, the trans rights activists, believe, then we would be naive to think that you're not deluded enough to kill someone for disagreeing with you. And that's exactly what they did to Charlie Kirk. And so I'm scheduled to be on campuses. I would be lying to you. And it's hard for me to admit this as someone who, again, I do feel like like I'm very tough. Like there's this level of like I feel like I'm invincible, but like I'm reluctant, truthfully, to go back on campuses because these people are unhinged and they want to, and they have proven that they will kill you for, again, saying what we have been saying, what you have been saying. Like they hate you for it, and all the while claiming to be the party or the people who embrace love and acceptance and who are welcoming and you know, all the things that they claim to be, all the virtues. They're not those things. They're the most hateful crowd there possibly is. And so there is a bit of reluctancy, but all the while recognizing like
We got to do
it
it.
needs to be done now more than ever.
It does. But now it's not just you two.
No.
Right. And so how has what has happened and the tragedy with Charlie Kirk, and now the opposite, the birth of your beautiful baby girl, and that's a lot to process. How has that affected your plans going forward as you want to still stand up and be that voice?
It's definitely forced us to rethink how we're going to be doing things. You know, she's not coming to events. She'll be traveling with us, but we're not going to bring her on campuses. You know, it's not smart. People are crazy. You know, there's a target on her back just because she's our daughter. You know, how do you truly hurt somebody that you want to hurt? You go for the family, right? So she's not going to be coming to campuses with us, which
I think was initially the plan.
Yeah, at first we were, our mentality was business as usual, and she's coming along with us. But it forces you to think about it a little more.
And you do want people to see what Charlie and Erica have preached for so long: get married, have
Charlie
kids,
he was so
family.
excited.
And so I think, and Riley, so many people look up to you, right, Lou? You know how people feel about your wife. And so for her to be young and vibrant and strong and a mother with her baby girl there, just the visual of that is so needed.
Yeah.
And not right now, maybe. That's what you guys are feeling?
Yeah, we're going to keep doing it. It's going to be business as usual, and she's going to be coming with us, but we're going to be shielding her.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't need exposing to that, and you know, we're not going to put her in a situation where, you know, God forbid something happens at an event where we've got to worry about her being there as well. You know, she's going to be safe and sound away from it, and you know, we've got a good group of people that make sure that she's taken care of when she's doing her stuff. So yeah, it just makes you rethink things a little bit, but you know,
and that's
we're ready for it.
Another reason why, and Louis was actually the one who was pretty adamant on this, but of course I've like fully gotten behind it and respect and can understand where this is coming from, but even not showing her full face on social media, which is really hard for me because like we're
proud of her.
Yeah, like I'm so proud, and I think she's
cute,
like,
you know?
well, she's beautiful.
She's perfect.
Like all this hair, she has such blue eyes, like everything about her is just perfect. And so I want to be able to like show her off, if you will. Like I'm so proud that this is like a little human that we together created, but shielding her from that online presence too, of the crazy people, but also creeps. Like there's a lot of like just creeps and gross people.
It's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it. And it's something that, you know, when this was something that we were talking about, how do we want to do this? How do we want to discipline? You have those conversations. We looked at people, you know, like we admired people like Charlie and Erica, and they didn't show their kid's face, and it didn't mean they didn't love them any, you know, but they loved them so much they didn't feel like they needed to expose them to that. Same thing with like, I know Allie Beth Stuckey doesn't show her kids. Brett Cooper doesn't plan on showing her baby's face. So like, it's, I think, becoming again more of a thing as tensions and craziness have continued to increase. And so that I think is something that, and you know, we'll look at things later as we go down the road and as she gets older. But I just think right now, while she's so little and so young, shielding her as much as we can from the craziness.
There'll be a time and place where it's appropriate that we kind of introduce her to the world, but not at this point. You know, she's got some growing up to do first. So,
Louis, has there ever been a time over these past 4 years where you've thought to yourself, this is too much?
I'm a fiery guy on the inside. I come across as pretty calm. I enjoy, I don't want to say I enjoy, that's probably not the best word, but we thrive in uncomfortable encounters. You know, we're the kind of couple where we want to challenge people. And so there's been times where, I mean, when we were back at San Francisco State last time, there was a guy who was sat second or third row who just starts yelling. You know, Riley said something and it's too much for this guy. He just starts yelling and cussing at her and stuff.
And gets up and like charges me.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You know, there's moments like that where you just, you know, you want to make an example of him. But in terms of, you know, has it been too much? Is there a time where I've thought this is all too much for her? I always ask her, you know, how she's doing. And if she's uncomfortable with stuff, that's, you know, that I think that communication point where it's like, okay, I'm not comfortable with this. I listen to that, you know, and you know, she's the one that's out there in the face of it. And so she needs to be comfortable and confident in what she's doing. So I wouldn't say there's been a point where it's been too much. There's definitely been times where my adrenaline is definitely spiking.
But I think part of that too is having, again, kind of this sanctuary where you can, I don't know, I feel like I've gotten really good at compartmentalizing, which maybe could be to a degree unhealthy, but I feel like if I'm on doing work stuff, you know, whatever it is, like I can be on, but I feel like I've really developed this skill where I can shut it off. And like when I'm here and when I'm holding her, like I'm a mom, like I'm a mother, like this is what I'm doing.
That still sounds surreal.
I know.
I know.
The fact that you just said that.
I know. It is weird. It's like,
Because
the
when I
coolest
met
thing.
you, I mean, in person was later. It felt like we knew each other. And I did feel like you were a kid. I mean, you were.
I still feel like I'm a kid. I'm like,
well, I'm quite immature myself. So, yeah. But like,
Fun. That's what we call it.
Yeah,
okay,
Just fun. Yeah.
just fun and
Yeah.
silly. Yeah. No, but like you are obviously a woman, a mother, but gosh, you've been through so much at such a young age.
and you learn to adapt. You roll with the punches. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, you act like you know what you're doing. You smile.
Fake it till you
And
make it, baby.
honestly, like, but all of that has led us to here.
Yeah.
And even you, I mean, you think about your life and what has led you to where you are now, which, I mean, I'm sure the people listening to this have seen the photos of your wedding, the most beautiful wedding, the most beautiful venue. Like,
you.
oh my gosh, you looked like a literal Disney princess, which I know we don't really like Disney.
Not
but
Disney, but the
yeah,
princess. No,
okay.
I'm kidding.
No, but honestly, like everything about it.
Thank you.
But think about I mean, hardships and the adversity and the sadness, I'm sure. And the times where you're questioning, like, God, what are you doing with my life? But you look at where you are now, and all of it, even the hard things, ultimately led you to where you are,
Yeah.
where you have your husband who is just like incredible. Now your merged families, like it's the most beautiful thing, but it took going through those hard times to get there. And so, and looking at that and looking at our life and looking at, again, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, it's horrific. Like I feel, honestly, like I still feel in total disbelief by it. Like just shocked, number one, that he's gone, two, something like that could happen. Like I still feel in total disbelief. I don't think I like have really processed those emotions in the correct way yet. A tragedy that never, ever, ever should have happened, especially in the greatest country in the world. Nonetheless, it did. But you look at the things that have come from it. People buying Bibles, people going to church. I mean, these vigils, I mean, it's like a total cultural revival. All these
Yeah.
turning point chapters happening in high schools and colleges all across the country. Like, it's really an amazing thing. And even being at the memorial service, like, it was like the most powerful, beautiful
It was.
service you could have possibly imagined. And you know that Charlie I mean, is sitting right beside his Lord and Savior, and he's smiling,
He is.
which is hard for people on this planet to really grasp what that's like. But you have to imagine he's happy as can be up there.
I have truly felt a change in my kids, in strangers at the airport,
100%.
people who are desperate to understand more and watched the service from across the world, because there were 100 million plus streams, right? And were so moved and have said, I'm going to open my Bible for the first time in a decade. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to have a conversation. I'm going to get on my knees and pray. And yes, we wish it didn't, hadn't taken that. And for some reason, this is the plan. And so now what do we do with it? And I think it is incredible to see. There's a lot of beauty in tragedy.
100%. 100%.
I want you to know, and I think you do, I probably haven't said it enough to you, but your faith has so inspired me. And you're so, clear with your beliefs. It has inspired me in so many ways, and I know millions of others.
You're so sweet.
Can you describe what your faith together has meant to you throughout your marriage, your relationship before then, and now as new parents?
Well, I don't think I do a fantastic job of always, especially, I mean, you go on Fox News and you have, 2 minutes to get your point across. It's hard to really get into the meat of, well, it's really not hard. It's just not something that I do. And maybe it's something I should be better about, and something that Charlie was so good about. That is central to everything. It's central to my life. All of the all of the issues that really plague this nation, it goes back to the word, what we're told is going to happen. We know why it's happening. We know the solution to it. And so I feel like I don't always do a fantastic job of communicating that. At least not, public facing. But I will say, with all of the different, trials and tribulations I've kind of gone through these past few years, it almost forces you to just kind of surrender and to just kind of, throw your hands up and say, look, Lord, use me, for your will. Whatever your purpose is for me, maybe I don't understand it now, but use me. I'm here. And so in our private life, that's kind of the approach that I feel like we have. And I will say again, being married young, there's so much value in getting to grow spiritually with another person as well. You grow individually, but you grow together. You grow as one. And so that's been really cool. And I think, Louis, you could probably talk to this too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in terms of faith, for me, my grandma was Catholic. She was, every Sunday she was at church. But, we lived in Dubai growing up. And so for 7 years, I think the closest church to us was like a 3-hour drive or something like that. So growing up, it wasn't something that was at the forefront of our life, for me and my brother. It wasn't really until I came over here. I remember standing on the pool deck at Kentucky. I think I'd been here I think it might have even been my first or second day in the US. And it was the dive coach. My mom and I had gone to the pool, and we were just seeing, checking everything out. And he was there, and he asked me, he said, do you go to church and all this stuff? And I was like, no, haven't ever really been involved. And he was like, well, you should come. He was like, we should, you should come with us. He's like, you should come for dinner with me and my family, all this stuff. And I never took him up on it. And he actually texted me a couple weeks ago after Margot showed up. And I told him, I said, look, I remember that conversation that we had on the pool deck. And I told him this, I said, I wish I had taken you up on that sooner. I really accredit my faith from a combination of Riley, her family, and a handful of the guys that were on the men's team at Kentucky. I was one of the guys who, everybody just knew him. He was just a great guy. And he was working on me while I was in Kentucky, and I was like, I'm good. I was too busy having fun on weekends or whatever. You know, I'd usually not be in a well state Sunday mornings or whatever. But I wish I had taken them up on it sooner to get involved. But I mean, as men, you know, we're told that we need a lead spiritually, and we do, but never underestimate the power of a strong woman in her faith as well. And you know, it's hard because I want to lead more in that aspect, but truthfully, I don't have the knowledge base necessarily to lead always, and so I do find myself looking to her for guidance on stuff, and the things that we can talk about and work together. But again, being able to grow with somebody in that way, it's really cool.
Well, and the Bible talks about having like a childlike faith, and how those of us who look, and I'm not here to say that I'm perfect or sinless, but growing up in the Bible Belt in Tennessee, like it was pretty standard practice. Like you went to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. And in doing that, even if you're not fully tuned in, you know, you're 10 years old, what can you really learn sitting in the big chapel where, you know, it's a lot of old people? Like, what are you really picking up on? But you pick up on scripture and different things. And the Bible talks about having a childlike faith and having those people who are supposed to guide those who are like children in their faith or learning. And so in doing that, like it has helped me so much too. And we, like I said, we've both just been able to learn and grow. And it's been, I mean, just one of the most amazing things. We go to an awesome church here. Our pastor has become a dear friend too. And so he is awesome. I'm so fortunate we go to a Bible believing church. We switched churches actually maybe about 2 years ago because, I mean, it had come to my knowledge. Actually, it was after President Trump was shot. This is what it was. Going to church the next morning, and my preacher, my pastor didn't say a word about it. And I remember like really being off put by that. And no, I was not expecting him to get up there and deliver this political sermon, how, you know, Trump has been called to save I wasn't expecting that.
Sure.
But we are called in the Bible to pray for our nation's leaders. And my pastor didn't do that at all. And so I started digging into my church and some of the elders and different things, and I was not pleased with some of the stuff I was finding. And so we switched churches. The church we go to now is so fantastic. And that's been a large part of us growing in our faith too, is going to a Bible believing church where you can take the message and apply it to your life and live by it outside of those four walls on Sunday morning. And that's what our pastor, Robbie Gallaty, has really helped us do too.
Yeah, and I've had debates with people that have been wanting an endorsement from her. You know, there was a guy who was running for a seat somewhere, and he was a pastor. And so I was like, oh great, you know, what's your kind of take on the church and politics? And he was an old school pastor, and he was like, yeah, I don't think they should mix. You know, I don't talk about anything to do with, you know, politics in my sermons. He said we've got people that come from all different belief systems, you know, there. So I was like, okay. I said, do you not think that you might be doing your congregation a disservice by not touching on issues that people are facing in their everyday lives and teaching them how to deal with them from a biblical perspective? Because a lot of these issues now have become political. You know, like the trans stuff, for example, shouldn't be, you know, the men and women's sports shouldn't be a political issue, right? It's common sense, but inevitably it has become political. Same with abortion, right? It shouldn't be a political issue, but it is, you know? And so I said to this guy, I said, look, I really believe that you're doing your congregation a disservice by not touching on issues that have become political. How you're not equipping your congregation to deal with these issues from a biblical perspective. Right. And he, you know, we agreed to disagree. And I said, yeah, but you know, you're not going to get an endorsement that way. You know, we that's not something that we agree with. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Those are the choices that we have to make. And I think after Charlie died, when so many pastors and priests ignored it and didn't say anything, I remember where we were that day, actually we were on our honeymoon, when it all happened. I remember we went to church for the first time as a married couple, and I was excited and heartbroken at the same time. It was packed. And at the end of his homily, the priest finally alluded
Yeah.
without saying a name, without talking at all about what happened and how we should handle the trauma
Yeah.
of witnessing it, as we all did
Oh my
on
gosh,
television.
and how horrific.
Yeah. And so to not mention it, I'm like, well, we won't be going back there. Yeah. And I do think that we have to, yes, to each his own. But for what I need and want in my life, I want a leader in that church okay, how should I process this?
Yeah.
And then let's have conversations later, because that's one of the problems. That's why we're in this position in the first place, right? Okay, I need to let you guys get back to being your little family. Yeah. Last two, I would like each of you to chime in. Riley, what is one thing that you want people to know about your husband?
Ooh, one thing I want them to know about my husband. I feel like there are a million things I could say here, because he has kind of been the husband that's, behind the scenes, if you will. Always supporting me, always being my rock, always being kind of the constant throughout all the ups and downs. But, as I'm on stage or on a camera or whatever it is, like, he's not the one that's being shown. Yet, again, if I'm upstairs in my little studio room, he's the one who's fixing the lights for me before. And so what I would want the world to know about my husband outside
I'm
of...
nervous to this.
outside of, obviously, the very good looks and the full
so
beard
handsome.
and the very American mullet and the
With
beautiful
the accent.
blue eyes.
the mullet. It's a mullet.
It's a mullet.
Yeah.
Outside of all that, I think it is the fact that he is the most selfless person. Like I said, would do anything for anybody. So imagine, if he would do that for anything for a stranger, imagine how he treats me and how he treats Margot. And so it's been so fun to watch your husband become a dad. Like, no one can really prepare you for that. Like, I thought I loved him as much as I possibly could before she was here, but watching him with her, like, it's a whole new kind of love. And so he's been, of course, just a fantastic husband, but the best dad. Your track record's not that long. 2 weeks.
Sample size small, but
yes,
so far so good.
2 weeks, but has been, anything I need. Of course, I'm waking up in the middle of the night to feed her. And I tell him, I'm like, just sleep. Like, there's no point in us both being awake. Like, just sleep through the night. And he wakes up every time. He's like, look, whatever you need, like, I'm here for you.
I think it's hard as a dad because there's only a certain amount of things that you can do, right? Like, I can't feed her.
Yes.
It just, God made it that way. And some people may disagree that men can't feed babies.
That's called science. Yeah. These are facts, yes.
So it is hard, but I do have to remind her, look, you don't have to, you're not doing this alone. I'm here for you. I'm here for her. Like, both of you, hers. And so, that's something I'm trying to push on more, is that, assign me duties. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm good with direction.
No.
Yeah.
You kind of, what do I want the world to know about you? It's hard when people know so much about you already. People know that you're strong, that you're tough, that you're a little fiery. But, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but you were made to be a mother. I thought I loved you before. I really did. But seeing how natural you are with her, that's just, it's just created a whole new kind of love. You are in your element as you are sat right now with her.
I could sit here.
You were made to be a mother.
And just stare at her. She's just so sweet.
Yeah.
She could sit here all day. Look at lady.
She has not.
She has not
budged.
Nobody has.
She has slumped further down onto the couch, but that's about all
your
she's
daughter,
done.
Your dogs, no one has moved.
No.
And I will say that, like, it's beautiful for me, and I'm so grateful to get to watch this. And of course, I've gotten to know you away from cameras, which has been just such a blessing. The human side of people, God forbid we get to know that, right?
Totally.
But you are a dear friend. Forget about the other stuff. And to see how you look at him, to see you soften, because you're always so friendly and bubbly and all that, but like that toughness I told you inspires me. And then the way you look at him, like literally look up, and it's everything. And you are the model of what America needs. It is beautiful to witness, and that's a lucky little girl to have you two. So final question.
That is so sweet.
Final question. What do you want life to be like for Margot?
Gosh, this is something that honestly I feel like I have been thinking about far before I ever knew I was pregnant with her, because essentially outside of, again, doing what I have done because I know it's the right thing morally and biblically, like having a younger sister and thinking about the world I want her to grow up in. Because like I said, like I was done competing when that championship ended. Like that race with him was my last meet ever. It was my last race. And so, it was done for me, but it was knowing that I have a younger sister. What do I want for her? So I feel like I've been thinking about this question a long time, and I want a fair and just world where they know there's value in being a woman. They know there's value, and I can speak to this now, in being a mom and bringing life into this world, all such beautiful things that only women can do. And so that's what I want little Margot to know, that she has two parents who love her very, very much. It's so funny, like every night when we're putting her in the bassinet by our bed, we'll go through our affirmations and we'll tell her that she's beautiful and that one day she will be very, very smart. She will be very successful. And we go through all the different things that we hope for her and that we want for her. And we say our prayers together every night. And so I'm just so excited to watch her grow up. She's already gotten so much bigger, which again, it makes me just like, I'm like, okay, stop it. She got down to 6 pounds, 1 ounce. And now she's like already back up at like 8 again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're growing too fast.
2 weeks.
Which breaks my heart, but it makes me so excited, especially watching you and Quinn, who's here today, like watching y'all's relationship. Like that makes me so excited for the future and seeing how you guys, of course, like number one, you're a mom, but I think at this stage of her life too, like you're friends. I'm sure you call each other 10 times a day and who knows what those conversations are like. But that's what I'm excited for little Margot.
Daddy?
This is something that we've spoken about before, is, what do we want for her and however many kids we have? And we've just said we want to leave them in a better place than we were. If we can do that and we set them up to be good people, to leave them in a better place than where they started, then we've done our job. So yeah, that's what I want for her and for however many we have in tote.
Your joy is like, it's beaming through. It's so evident. It's really, really awesome. And thank you for sharing today, for sure. But I mean, from day one, you two were very open with your pregnancy. And now I can see where you were standing under the chandelier when you're showing the belt. Like it all adds up now.
Yeah.
But I mean it when I say that she's a very blessed little girl to have you two as parents. So
we're blessed to be her mom, and I hope one day she can feel proud of the work and the stand that we have taken as her parents, again, before we knew we were going to be her parents. I hope that's something that she can be proud of and reap the benefits of. And if things continue in the direction and with the trajectory they are, both again culturally and politically, then I think that will hopefully be the case.
Oh, she's going to be looking back. And even if she doesn't want to listen to her mom and dad, which she won't for a minute, I'll be like, listen, let me tell you.
Listen here, girlie.
Yes. So I love you guys. Thank you.
Well, we love you.
Thank
we love you and Dave. We miss Dave today.
I know.
Yeah.
I always
say
say
this like a I don't know. He needed to be here for this.
I always say that work thing, it gets in the way of my fun things in life. We
Isn't
gotta
that
figure
annoying?
that out.
She tells me the same when I'm leaving in the morning. She's like, "Do you have to go to work?" I'm like, yes, dear, I do. I've
Yes,
got to keep
dear.
things going.
BRB. Yes. Thank you, guys. Love you. Love you.
Well, thank
She
you.
is perfect. She has not moved. Literally.
She's a perfect angel.
She is.
You're
Just
a
needs to
perfect
stop
angel.
destroying diapers at 2:30 in
I
the
know.
morning.
That's-
Phew, I'm getting over that.
I don't believe it.